What's up YouTube? Brian here, back again with another video, and today we are back doing high-end rod reviews. It's the end of the season here in Minnesota, so I'm just going to start knocking out some rod reviews because I have been using a lot of this stuff all season, or at least since they came out, and I feel like I've gotten enough seat time on some of these rods to really start giving you full-fledged reviews. So here we go. We're going to dive today right deep into the waters of St. Croix, and we're talking about this rod, which I had to pick up for one reason. We got to get this right out of the gate, and that is because this is the 7-1 medium versatile rod, but St. Croix, out of the gate, we got to talk about it. They misspelled versatile on all of these blanks. So I'm going to try and get that to focus. But anyway, so there was a lot of ribbing going online about St. Croix and how they misspelled the word versatile on the physical blanks. And it was also wrong on their website for several weeks. So they even had it. What's funny is they had the way they spelled it on this blank and how they misspelled it on the website were two totally different misspellings. So apparently someone at St. Croix really has a hard time with the word versatile. Just got to get that out of the way. I like having the blank with the misspelled word. I just think it's kind of funny. Call it like an error. Hopefully St. Croix makes the correction in the future batches that they put out of this rod. But so far, every one of these I've seen at a store has the misspelled word. I'm sure all of them got it, and maybe they'll correct it in the future. So if you're looking at these rods, it's always kind of an anomaly. Just look and see on the blank. You'll know if it's a first run rod because of the misspelling, or if they correct it eventually, then you'll know you got the newer version. So anyway, getting that out of the way. This is the 7-1 medium spinning rod. Now, I have a long history of using spinning rods with St. Croix. I've had Premiers, Avids, Avid-X, Legend tournaments, the old Legend tournaments. I had a bunch of the old Legend tournament basses, the ones before this. I've had Legend X. So basically, like, I've used most of the, I've had almost every rod in every line of St. Croix. I had Bass X. So like, I have a lot of thoughts and opinions across St. Croix. I've been a customer of theirs for many years. I've been kind of critical in the past. So that being said, let's dive into this particular rod. Now, St. Croix rebooted the Legend Tournament Bass line, and a lot of that DNA from, I can tell a lot of the DNA from the Victory line that they launched kind of made its way up into these rods, especially with the components on this particular spinning rod. I have the 7.3 Victory rod. I've already done a review on that one, and basically the grip components from this to the Victory are pretty much the same. The guides are a little bit different. This rod in particular, and actually all the Legend Tournament Bass rods, have the Fuji Alkanite guides. So that's like, basically you got Torsites the top of the food chain, then SIC is the next step down. SIC used to be the top of the food chain, and then you got Alkanite, which is kind of like that third step down, I guess. Now, a lot of people say the SICs are a little smoother and a little harder, so casting distance on SIC guides are a little better, but the Alkanites are a little less brittle. So apparently, like, Alkanite is got less problems, less prone to cracking than SIC. These are a little less dense, a little less hard than an SIC guide. So the point is, you really can't go wrong with SIC guides or Alkanite. Both of them are fine. I'd say most rods that you find in like the $300-ish price range are going to either have SIC or Alkanite. There's pros and cons to both of them. So the fact that this has the Alkanite guides is great, especially for durability. You're probably not going to have too many guide problems. St. Croix is really well known for not having a whole lot of rods go back to them, even though they have giant warranties. I believe this has a 15-year warranty. But, you know, St. Croix definitely builds their rods to be durable and to last a long time. At least that's what they say, although I know a lot of people have broken Victory rods. I've seen and been contacted by people who are having Victory rods snapping left and right, and even I have a buddy of mine who had his Victory rod broke, sent it back, the next one broke, sent it back, and then the third one he got broke. Exact same model, and it's snapped on him all 3 times while using a fishing. So I don't know about the durability on the Victory line, but Legend Tournament Bass, I don't know. This rod hasn't been out that long, so we'll see. For me, this rod's been great as far as durability. I mean, it's still in one piece. So that being said, the guides, you're getting Fuji Alkanite guides on this thing. They do seem to have some kind of coating on the guides, and they're really nice. They're kind of like a gunmetal finish. I mean, it looks great. I have to say, fit and finish wise, the visual presentation of this rod is fantastic. So in the pros column on this rod, definitely the look and the fit and finish. Let's talk about that, because I think it's probably the thing that's striking most people when they pick this rod up maybe at the rack. So first off, They kept the blue, so the same blue tint to the blank is present on the new Legend Tournament Bass, which is great. I think it looks good. I think it's a really good looking blue, especially in the sun. When you're out in the sunlight and it hits this rod, it is like bright blue. It doesn't look as flashy here in my office, but out in the water in the sunlight, it looks gorgeous. I actually handed my dad this rod, and he used it for the day. And when I handed it to him and he was using this thing, he actually commented just out of the blue. He's like, this is a really good looking rod. This looks fancy. And I'm like, there you go. So just visually, it is a striking rod with the blue. St. Croix really wanted to level up the look and the fit and finish. And they kind of went down the Megabass route of putting metal components onto the reel. Metal has always been something that is very Megabass, like they're really big on building metal components into the design in their rod because they feel metal transmits feeling better to the hand, so they try to put metal wherever they can. And here, sure enough, St. Croix put a lot of effort into the machining of these metal parts that are on the Legend Tournament Bass. So I got a chance to speak with Ryan Teach at one of the local fishing conventions, who's the product designer on this, and he said machining and getting all of these tolerances on these lock nuts to be very round and to have no, like, you can't feel any of the edges on this. It's just super smooth all around. He said this was an incredibly difficult R&D process, and they're really proud of it. I'm glad they put the metal component to this lock nut on the bottom half of the grip because it does make this rod really well balanced. So I'm just going to jump to balance real quick. So this is with a Daiwa Ballistic 3000. So it bounces like right on the lock nut. And in the hand with a 3000 reel, this rod does feel very good. And that is the biggest knock on the old Legend Tournament spinning rods, was they were balanced terribly. I had two of them. I had the drop shot rod and I had like the 7-foot medium in the old Legend Tournament, and I hated the balance. They were so tip heavy, but that has absolutely been corrected on this particular rod. I haven't used all the spinning rods in the Legend Tournament line, but on this particular rod, the balance is spot on. I think having that little bit of extra weight down on the bottom half of the rod, there's a metal ring here too as well. So I think these metal components definitely just help kind of balance out the rod, which I think is great. And it looks cool. Definitely makes it look a little more premium for sure. So, this uses the same Fuji grip that is essentially on the Victories. Also, this is pretty much the same components that Daiwa uses on a lot of their rods, like the Tatula Elites and the regular Tatula. They all kind of use this same Fuji reel seat. So it's great because you can do a full choke. You can have all your fingers above the stem of the spinning reel and get a full grip on that thing. So if you like to choke up, fantastic. If you do a split choke like I usually do, also fits great. You can do the pinky thing. Just overall, this is a fantastically comfortable grip. The cork is pretty okay. It's definitely not as good as like the Legend X and the Legend Elites, but it's pretty good. I've sealed it. I've been using the crap out of this thing. You can tell it's pretty dirty. I have not had any filler fall out, and actually filler-wise, it's pretty good. St. Croix just does have really good cork. I don't know why, but St. Croix seems to have a little bit better cork than everyone else in like their price points. So shout out to St. Croix. Good cork. I like the metal lock nut. I just like that it's also functional because it helps balance the rod out. I like the blue paint job, especially in the sunlight. Like, if you can make my dad comment about how good looking this rod is, and randomly, because he doesn't usually care about that kind of stuff, I'd say that's a compliment to St. Croix. As far as action goes, this is a 7'1" medium fast. Honestly, fast and extra fast in St. Croix are just words. Let's just show you the tip. So if you've used any St. Croix medium power spinning rods, especially anything between 7 and 7.3, you know this action. It's the same action that St. Croix has been doing for years. It's a super spongy, kind of like really soft tip. St. Croix is known for their very soft tip. Keep in mind, I know St. Croix doesn't like to hear this, but they are a walleye company. They make walleye rods. They don't make really fast, stiff bass rods. They never have. So there's a lot of walleye, multi-species DNA in these rods, in my opinion. So yes, you do have a very spongy, soft tip. I don't necessarily think that's a negative because this is just how St. Croix is. However, if you're using this rod for multi-species, it's awesome. So I'll say that I threw a lot of bass techniques on this, like Ned rig, paddle tail swim bait, Nico rig, wacky Senko. This can handle all that stuff, but also because of that softish tip, You could absolutely use this for like a jigging rod for walleyes, or throw a shadow wrap on this thing. This can absolutely be a crappie rod, a walleye rod. You can do a lot of stuff with this because of the soft action. I mean, you can just see me. I'm not bending this very hard, and it's got a lot of flex. I'm going to shoot over to my laptop real quick. I'm going to show you guys a fish catch. So this was me throwing a 1/8 ounce Ned rig along a grass point in Wisconsin for smallmouth. So here we go. I just want to show you guys the action on this rod. So there I hooked up with the fish, and if you can see the deep bend into this rod. So I'm just gonna highlight this. So this is that soft, squishy St. Croix action at work. Really fun to fight a fish. I will say there's not anything really wrong with this, but if you're looking for really stiff, fast action, you're probably going to be looking more to like the G. Loomis line of rods. This fish, I fought this fish for a while. This is a very stubborn smallmouth. So I don't know if we want to watch the whole thing. I'll skip forward a little bit here. But yeah, really fun. The sensitivity on this rod is totally fantastic for the price. In the $300 range, it's perfectly acceptable. It's not like lights out amazing sensitivity, but it's also pretty good. You're not going to miss any bites. I think it's spot on for the $300 price point. So here I'm landing this fish. Got a little nice smallie on the Ned rig and about, I don't know, I think it was about 10 foot of water right there. There we go. All right. So as you can see, when you do get hooked up to the fish, it's going to be a nice deep action. You're going to have a really fun fight on your hands. Like I mentioned, the sensitivity is pretty good. Like I said, it's not like you're not talking $600 NRX or high-end Megabass quality like with the Windbuster, that kind of thing. But it's totally sensitive. I have no problem feeling bites. I have no problem feeling grass. I think for the $300 price point, you will not be disappointed in the sensitivity. That's the thing we got to talk about. The price, $300. Is this a $300 rod? It's tough to say because the St. Croix Victory rods, which are $200, I don't know if the $100 jump between the Victory to this is really a compelling case. Like, I mean, if you really love the look of this and you like the metal lock nut and you want the slightly better alkanite, more stronger guides, totally. Is it worth $100 jump to go from Victory to this? It's hard to make that. I can't tell you if it's a good idea or not. I mean, it is a $300 rod. Does this thing, when I hold it and fish it and use it, does it feel like a $300 rod? Kind of, sort of, I guess. It's just, it is heavier. So let's talk about the weight. This is a 3.8 ounce rod. It's actually a little bit heavier than the equivalent rods in the Victory line because of the metal components. So these metal components do add a little bit of weight. Metal is always going to add a little bit of weight. And this is a pretty big chunk of metal in this lock nut down here. But like I said, the weight's in the right place. So it doesn't feel heavier. Like I've held the equivalent of this rod and this. I've held this exact rod with the Victory equivalent in the store and kind of done the whole closing my eyes and holding them both, and you cannot tell the difference between the weights. On paper, these are heavier, but it's just a couple fractions of an ounce, right? So, overall thoughts and opinion. I think St. Croix did a big step forward in the Legend Tournament spinning rods because of the new grip configuration, because they fixed the balance issues, got good solid guides, the sensitivity is on par. It's kind of funny that they misspelled the thing on the blank. I mean, that has nothing to do with performance, but it does kind of show you maybe they have some issues with quality control. Just saying. But overall thoughts and opinion, it's a good rod. I do like it. I'm going to keep it in my lineup. This is a rod that I really like throwing Ned rigs on, just because, as you saw in the video, when you do hook into a fish with this rod, it's fun. And also I think this, because of the softer tip, you absolutely could use this as a drop shot rod. So just because it's a 7'1" medium doesn't mean it definitely is not capable of drop shot. I would not have a problem throwing nose hooked smaller wire hooks with this soft tip. So if you're someone who's looking for like a deeper water drop shot rod and you like St. Croix, I actually would probably consider this rod over going to like the 6 foot 10 inch, like the drop shot rod. I think this has just got that little extra power, and you can use it for a whole bunch of other stuff. So it definitely lives up to the name, versatile. I used it for a lot of different techniques and I did all of them fine. Just overall, it's a pretty good rod. I definitely give it if I had to rate it, I don't know. I'd say it's an A compared to the old ones, but because there's a lot of competition in this $300 price point right now. Is this a standout rod from all the other stuff in the $300 price point? I definitely put it, up there. It definitely punches with that stuff as far as that goes. So overall, I think St. Croix did a good job with this. I know there's a whole bunch more rods in the Legend Tournament Bass line. I don't have any of the casting rods. Maybe I'll pick one up this year. I know the new glass, the eyeglass. So they have glass carbon composite rods in the new casting line that are very compelling because St. Croix's never done that before. So might pick up one of those next year to try it out because it's something new and exciting. But definitely going to keep this rod in the lineup. It's a fun rod to use. I'm definitely one of these rods I like to give to people when I'm on the when I have them out fishing with me, because when they pick it up and use it, it's impressive to them. So, anyway, that being said, I hope this review is helpful if you're out there shopping for them, if you're just overall curious if St. Croix made improvements in the Legend Tournament Bass line compared to the previous ones. The answer is a resounding yes, and I do enjoy this rod. So these are for sale at Omnia. However, when they get these in stock, it's tough. The supply chain's brutal right now. I know getting Fuji components for a lot of these rod makers is tough. Fuji getting their components out to people right now is apparently kind of a bottleneck, and it's making these rods not really readily available everywhere. I'm sure in the spring you'll see a lot of these pop up, but if you're out there trying to shop and find this rod right now, it's a little tough. I don't think Omni has actually gotten a restock of these Legend Tournament spinning rods probably in a while. So anyway, set up the in-stock alerts on Omnia's website if you want to know when these do pop into stock. And if you've made it this far in the video, please hit like and subscribe. And thank you for watching my meandering ramblings about a $300 spinning rod. So until next time, thank you for watching. Appreciate it.